Hello everyone and welcome to our channel, The Mutual Fund Guys, where we talk only about mutual funds. Today we have a very interesting topic that Mahesh wants to share. It's his personal sort of experience he's had in 2004, right?
Yeah, 2004.
That he wants to share. And so Mahesh, the floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Somebody who's been in India in 2004 would remember a company called Global Trust Bank, started by Ramesh Telly, I think. By 2004, it went into default, and I think Oriental Bank of Commerce actually merged it within itself. So in 2004, as luck would have it, Global Trust Bank was something which was very close to my place of work. And so I opened an account there. I actually bought 3 shares worth some 50,000 rupees in all and put it in a demat in Global Trust Bank. I mean, just imagine, just before this whole bank was defunct, right? And then I heard that this has happened. The Global Trust Bank is shut down and now it is Oriental Bank of Commerce. And by sheer luck, laziness, whatever you call it, I thought paisa gaya.
And because the amount was 50,000, you probably didn't.
And also because in those days, net banking was not there. So you actually had to go to the bank, find out. I didn't even know whether the savings account number would be the same. I mean, I didn't even know what to do about it. So, and you were working and you were busy. So I just lost track of it.
Yeah.
And then in April 2020, Oriental Bank of Commerce went defunct, right? And then PNB merged. So finally, Global Trust Bank has become Punjab National Bank by April 2020. And, by then NSDL, etc. had started. So the eCash account came one day to my house in my email. And in that, I saw, there is number like 13 lakhs in some demat account in PNB. And I'm like, what is this money, right? When did I ever buy it? Then I realized I never had a PNB demat. It was actually Global Trust Bank demat of 50,000 rupees, which I had invested, had become 13 lakhs by 2024.
Wow.
Right?
2024, 2020.
Last year, so 2023. So not even 20 years, right? So this was crazy amount of money for a 50,000 to become a 26th bagger. It's not a 10 bagger, it's a 26 bagger in 20 years. For 50,000 became around 13 lakh.
Phenomenal.
And all that happened only because first, those shares were decent enough that I bought, right? I mean, they were not really bad shares. So one is that none of those shares went to zero. They were good enough shares. The second reason I made that kind of money is because I didn't see it at all for 20 years. If I had seen it, I'm sure I would have sold it sometime, right? Maybe take a vacation. So I would have spent it. I'm sure of that. So the only thing that happened was that I was forced to remain long term because I didn't know that money existed. Just because I was forced, I didn't know about it. For 20 years, I held on to those stocks and I actually made a 26-time return on my 50,000 investment. Now, this is actually a great lesson to learn, right? I mean, the first lesson, according to me, is that if you bought good stocks, then you can hold on for a long time. But we don't know beforehand that those stocks are good. And fundamentally, I had no clue what those stocks were. Somebody had told me I bought them. Now, however, you have a greater opportunity today, right? You can buy a mutual fund and somebody else, which is the fund manager, is actually going to weed out bad stocks and put in good stocks in your portfolio. So even if you made a mistake and bought a bad stock, then they would actually get out of it, right? So, and you would put in better stocks. So you don't have to worry about whether the stocks are good enough to hold for the long term or not. But a mutual fund definitely is good enough to hold for the long term. The same 20-year investment that I did inadvertently can be done consciously if you invest in a mutual fund and remain invested. And I think whether we make 26 times of our investment or not is a completely different thing. But I'm pretty certain that across the long term, mutual funds will give you the kind of returns that you can't imagine today. This is the point. We keep talking long term, but this is an example of how that long term really works.
Essentially, that you invested some money in 2004, you forgot about it. You thought that your money had been lost. The money was small, 50,000. Maybe you didn't care so much about it. And then you woke up one day and you realize that it's become 13 lakh rupees purely based on 2 factors. One is that, of course, you got lucky, you picked the right stocks or at least decent stocks. And second was that you did not interfere with that process of compounding for 20 years or 19 years to speak. And that really added to your wealth phenomenally. I mean, 50,000 ka 13 lakh rupiya hona is phenomenal. You obviously wish you had put more money that time. But
now, of course, on hindsight, right?
But the point is clear that the interruption of compounding can be extremely detrimental, and you fluked out. I mean, it was a fluke on your part that you held on to it. But you are saying that now we have a conscious way of doing this by be invested in your mutual funds for maybe 15 years, 19 years, 20 years, and then you will see what that result after 20 years. You cannot envisage it now.
Correct.
But you have seen it now.
Correct.
And you will never make the mistake of ever selling your stocks or your mutual funds ever in your life. This is the biggest lesson I have learned in my career as well. Had I just held on to stocks, or not stocks, or even mutual funds, the scenario would be a lot more different today. So thank you for that, sharing that personal experience of yours. It goes to show what compounding can do for you over long periods of time, and how much the less you react to stimulus, the more successful you are, at least in this area of life. Let things just be the way they are. Doing nothing actually does a lot more for you than doing something all the time. So thank you for watching, guys, and we'll come up with more interesting videos in the future. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.